According to Fidelity, SPY was one of the most actively traded tickers across all markets today, with 90 million shares traded when we just see roughly 56 million shares traded. This is where we ended, 527.37, up 0.91%. We are at 6 standard deviations. I will anticipate a pullback on Monday as people take their profits and they leave, and then price could potentially fall back down to here. And if it does, that turns into support and we could see a bounce off of that. But if we continue to go down, these lines turn back into support. This is the beginning of the day. This is the end of the day. We started off at resistance. Note the sell indicator popped up from the bot. This is resistance along this line. People took their profits and they ran, they locked in, and they left back all the way down to support. And then when we bounce off of that, this turns back into resistance. We tried to run but didn't make it, fell back down to the support line again, back up, whipping you around here, going sideways, and then making a run for it past this resistance line, this line, this line, here, and then at 6 standard deviations. And you could see the bot got triggered here, and that's why I will anticipate a sell bot coming up over here. Now let's take a look at the gaps that I have been tracking. This gap, we gapped up, so what happens? I anticipate a gap to the south side whenever it fills, and it did touch right here. This is no longer a threat to our accounts to the south side. Obviously, there are other threats. But note all the way up here, from down here, we hit resistance and then the sell signal gets triggered by the bot. I do not usually turn on the bot. I'm doing this just for you. If you need a little bit of help or confirmation, turn it on. But I play the lines and that's what I look at. Usually -2 and 2 standard deviations all day long. Anything outside of that is an outlier and a clear buy and sell signal. So to the south side, if we hit here, here, or down here, that is a buy signal. But if we're up here and we fall back down, this then turns back into support. Now, as far as the green gaps, I will anticipate this to continue to possibly run and touch, but once we hit this area, that will turn into another level of resistance and then definitely a crack. The RSI is already showing a crack. You can see how it's highlighted here a little bit. I will anticipate this maybe to go down, go back up, maybe to fill that, and then smash right back down, just like it did in the past. Note the clear signal here. I use the RSI as support and resistance, when to buy in and when to sell. And looking left, the highest the RSI got recently right here at 82, and we are at 69. So we've got some room to go to the upside. So what about these other gaps here? This one, look at that, touched right there. 525.54, and then ran up some more. Okay, that one is still in play, but this bottom part that formed the gap, the lower part of it is no longer in play, and we are done. What else do we have? I will flip this over to the 15-minute time frame and give you some price targets. Again, on the 5-minute, we are at 6 standard deviations, but on the 15, it's different. Different windows of the time that give us different buy and sell signals. So the next level up, resistance, will take us to 528.57, 530.69, and roughly 530 to 75. People also use this, I think TradingView calls it the grid line, as the next levels to watch out for. That's an easy thing to play if you don't want to turn on any indicators, or you're using a free indicator, because you get 3, I believe, from TradingView without having to upgrade. So that could be a guide for you as well without having to pay them. So back to the middle of the trend takes us to 524.38, 520.21, 518.07, and 516.07. Note the RSI here. I'll delete this so I can see this a little bit better. It hasn't started to peak yet. You'll see it. You'll see the color change. See that? You know that something is happening. It's going to eventually go back to solid. This is like a green blended color there, but that's just an indicator that it's like peaking. I'm going to show you what the RSI looks like on the daily. Again, different time frames give you different buy and sell signals. I need to go through and clean up all of these gaps. I've tracked this for a long time, but I've gotten lazy with cleaning up my charts. I need to start doing that, but the RSI shows us. Let me just delete this as well. We still have room to go to the upside on the daily. And oops, Command Z to reset something if you made a little boo-boo typo. So we are right here on the daily, the north side at 2 standard deviations, 549.90 and 491.79. Obviously a better price down here to enter, but sometimes it takes so long that you just have to trade the price action wherever you happen to be, unless you're playing long term and you're setting it and forgetting it. So that's the daily. So apparently I tracked that here at 362, and I think that was it. But now let's go to the weekly. RSI is already turning down, so be aware of that to the downside. And now the way TradingView calculates the standard deviations, it gets wonky and it's hard to see, and I don't like to use it on the bigger time frames, but we are right here. That will take us to 558.13 and back to the middle of the trend and the baseline, and from there this is support at 489.84. See how the targets change on you. And here on the monthly, we've got room to go before we start to crack. So pay attention to that on the monthly, because it will crack. It's just a matter of time. And apparently a long time ago, I broke down all of the tickers within SPY. Microsoft and Apple, Amazon were the top 3 holdings, but this was in 2023. Things change constantly. I do own Apple. That's my largest individual holding, followed by Microsoft. So when those 2 tickers tank, I feel it. And that's it for SPY. Let me go on to CRM. First, let me flip this over to the 5-minute. Now, CRM, if you watched my video yesterday, I made a comment about how it was the lowest performing ticker. It was here. And guess what? Friday, it became the #1 ticker. It psyched you out. People flipped out because it tanked, and voila, look what happened. So thank you to Murat for pointing that out. Let me flip this. CRM. He pointed the stock out 2 days in a row for me. which I love because there are so many other tickers I look at. So it's hard for me to remember to go back with earnings reports or the news. But he made a comment this could be a buying opportunity. And today we ran up 7.54% at the end of the day. Oh, wait, where are we? Sorry, that's the gap. So at the end of the day on the 30th, we were at 218.01 and now we're at 234.44. You could get in and get out. But let me just note. So we were right here. We went sideways, fell back down, hit resistance, but busted right through it on our way to the next level of resistance. Right there. And that will be 239.49. That is the 5-minute time frame. To the north side of that, 254.80, and now 270.75. Note we stayed within the 2 standard deviations and the -2. Typically that happens all day long. And to the south side, back at support, 208.50. We've got to deal with this gap to the south side at 190. Let me extend this now to here. So 190.41, that has not changed. 178.50, 167.90 has not changed. And roughly 163.76 at another level of support. If we hit this line, or that line, you will definitely see a bounce as people buy the dip. Now, Murat also pointed this out before earnings, and then we went sideways, and then earnings report, we didn't hit what the street wanted, and so this stock tanked. But look at it. They still made $9 billion. Not too shabby. So the RSI turning up still, and it has not cracked, but you can see the color change, and I'll anticipate it to go back down, and then people buying it back up and then riding it back up again. And the 1-year price target, 302.61, which represents a 29% return from where we are. Now let's go to the bottom of the list. I think I have 230 stocks busted out of the ETF, okay? So I've already done MRNA, and that is down 5.9%. Let me give you the price targets. The middle of the trend takes us to 145.09. $155.68, 159.23, and a gap forms to the upside at 164.56, closing out at 166.18, a tiny little baby one. And the next one to the south side, the target that I'll be looking out for, 137.86 roughly, 134.27, and 130.56. Again, prices change on every single time frame that you're playing, so it will be different as the calculations move. The target moves. It's always a moving target. But what you can bet on is typically it will stay within -2 and 2. That's a safe bet. Now, when I last talked about this, we were at 141.01, and look at that. So look at this. We busted through all the way to resistance, and that up here was your sell signal. Let's right down there to the high point, maybe this level. And that is a 23% return on your money. And then obviously we tanked to the south side here, another opportunity to go up, we're down. I'd prefer to see it hit here or here, and then possibly another leg up. That is the 5-minute time frame. Oh, and we have this gap, so that is a better entry, but that's a long ways off, although we are going in a downward channel on the 5-minute time frame. Now, this was an old price target that we hit already. The new price target, well, we already hit that, so I click on this button, and the next target that they have is 310. Always check back in because they will update this, but the long-term forecast, 310, that's a nice return. 117% if you've got a longer window to play because you are patient, or if you want to trade the price action, obviously you're not going to wait that long. I need to go through and clean up this as well. And Murat has talked about this stock in the past, include me in as well. And whenever he does, I just like to make a video so you can see what's happening. I need to change all that, extend it out at some other point, but not today. My video is getting long. All right, imagine getting that at $76. That is crazy. When you play the long game, you typically win. Again, just like in real estate. Now, the next one I want to go over is, I think that will be it for today. So SPY, MSFT, CRM, and MRNA. The next video I do, I'll go over SQQs, recap that one, and Path as well, that Murat also pointed out to me. And then I will also do my gap and go trades for this week. Thank you so much for watching.